Hi there, Redeemer family. Pastor Eric here with just a couple of announcements and some updates for you. You probably heard at the announcements at church on this Sunday, the 5th, that on the 4th we distributed food to 12 households. A total of 570 pounds of food was distributed. Redeemer family, if it weren't for you and our brothers and sisters at Trinity, there would be no food to give out. You have been amazing, loving, supportive of this ministry, and we thank you for that. And we're going to ask for continued support for a while to go yet. We did have an in-gathering today, and once again, you showed up. You showed up. So thank you for that. Look for more information on in-gatherings. They're probably going to happen on a fairly regular basis for the foreseeable future. And just once again, understand that you and our brothers and sisters at Trinity are the only source of food coming in. So again, thank you very much for your support behind that ministry. We are starting to look at what it could look like for the Compassion Center to reopen. That's going to be a process of a couple weeks, and we're talking about things like by appointment only and whatnot. I'll get you more information on that as soon as we know. Bible study. Bible study is going to be moving in 2 weeks, starting July 19th. We're going to put it back to its previous time when we did in person. It's still going to be on Zoom only, but it's going to happen at 9 a.m. from 9 a.m. to 9:45. On that same Sunday, we're going to move worship from 10:10 to 10:15, just a slight 5-minute move backwards. And that's going to allow people who are going to do the Bible study on Zoom to make their way to Redeemer for in-person worship. And we do have a number of people that applies to. In addition, on that same Sunday, we're going to introduce communion at the end of the worship service. So we will go through the worship service, we will conclude with the benediction, and allow people who do not want to remain for communion to go ahead and slip out. And then we will have one person, or one household, I should say, one household at a time, come forward to receive contactless communion. So similar to what we're doing on our small group communion during the week, but a little bit different as well. So we're going to be up in the sanctuary. It's going to be coming down off of the altar instead of sitting out into the narthex. And the answer to the question that I know is already popping on your mind, am I going to continue to do the small group communion? Yes. Another question I'm going to anticipate, do I have to sign up on Sign Up Genius? Yes, because I need to know how many communion to prepare for, because again, it's contactless. I have to make sure everything is separated and prepared correctly. So yes, I do need you to sign up on Sign Up Genius. I will have the first one, the 19th, posted here shortly. So just want to make you're aware of those things. And then the last item that I want to address is our getting back into in-person worship. So let's go across a few things, some of the things that we're doing right and some of the things that we're not doing right. Okay, so let's talk about those things that we are doing right and the things that we are not doing right. The first thing that we are doing well is slowly increasing in attendance. We've been adding about 1 to 2 people, maybe 3 a week, which is absolutely perfect. It's allowed us to see what we're not doing right and what needs to be tightened up and done better. The other thing is when you come into the sanctuary, I've noticed everybody's doing a great job of coming in, taking your place, and just remaining there. So that's done right. Very good there. The other thing is on your own accord, you've been staggering your seating, and that we want to continue to do. So that everybody's not crunched up next to each other. We've got a big sanctuary. We've only got about 15, 20 people in the house. There's no need to get up close to anybody that's not from your household. So congratulations on doing that well. But with the good news comes the bad news. So here, let's take a look at those things real quick. Masks. Now, I know some of you who've been coming to worship might say, wait a minute, we're wearing masks coming and going. Not as much or as well as we should. So let me just point out real quick that the mask should be up over your nose and not underneath your nose. and the mask should not be in your hand. It should be on your face. So as you come into worship, you're wearing your mask, and as you're leaving worship, you're wearing a mask. You may remove it during the service uh, for singing and responsive readings and whatnot, but it has to be on. It has to be on up over your nose and covering your mouth, and certainly not in your hand. It's been so hard not seeing everybody, and as we start to come in and new faces are added to our in-person worship, it's really hard to not stop in the narthex and just greet each other and have conversation. But I'm asking you to please not do that. You can want to talk a little bit out in the parking lot before coming in, that's fine. But really would like you to come in, pick up your bulletin, take it and go sit down. It's tempting. I know it is. I understand totally. But we really need to comply with the idea of not gathering out to the narthex. Remember the blue tape. If you are a household of one or two people, you should not be sitting where there is a piece of blue tape on the back of the pew. That area is reserved for households of three or more. So you'll see that all the pews that are open have a 6-foot strip of blue tape on the back. So if you're a household of one or two, you sit on either side of that blue tape. If you are a household of more than that, then you can take the entire pew. So just want to really watch that distancing thing. Here's another tough one. Leaving directly after worship. Especially when it's a nice day outside, please just go ahead and leave the narthex, go out into the parking lot, stay 6 feet apart, don't forget to wear your mask, um, and do those kinds of things to give the space. And another reason I mentioned this morning is we need to close up the building and start the process of sanitizing. So I do need you to leave directly out after the worship service. Again, go outside in the parking lot, stay apart, have a conversation, be happy to see one another. So technically, this last one doesn't belong in the things we're not doing so well. This is a new one, just initiated today. We really ask that as you're leaving the sanctuary, if you would please put your bulletin back down on the pew where you were seated. While we do thorough cleaning across the board, we pay special attention to the places where you're seated. When we had 1, 2, 3, 4 people in worship, that was not a problem. As we're getting to 15, it's a little more complicated for us to stay on board and paying attention to where everybody's sitting, and we need to get those areas clean. So we are going to ask you to leave your bulletin there. There usually are some extra bulletins on the back table as you're leaving, and we encourage you to pick up one. And of course, you have probably received one in email as well, so you can still have access to that. But that's going to be a way that we know that when we glove up and we get our sanitizing equipment, we go through the pews. We know where you were sitting. We do pay special attention to those spots. Okay, so enough of that. Again, I share these things with you because as we increase attendance, it's going to be more and more difficult to remember them if we're not practicing them now. And certainly the last thing we want to be is a source of somebody being sick because we've got careless. That's not acceptable. And again, I want to state very clearly, our YouTube and Zoom services are going to continue without any interruption whatsoever. So thank you for watching. God bless you. And we'll look forward to seeing you either in church or virtually in the near future. God bless.